Hey, English learners. Welcome back to the English Conversation Studio. This is your favorite spot for real conversation practice and easy English you can actually use in your daily life. I'm Mia.
And I'm Finn. We are so incredibly happy you're spending some time with us today. How's it going, Mia?
I'm doing great, Finn. But I was thinking about something quite deep this morning while I was people watching at the park.
Oh no. When Mia starts people watching, we know a big topic is coming. What was it?
Well, I saw two people jogging. One looked like a professional, fast, confident, perfectly dressed. The other person looked like they were struggling, breathing hard, moving slowly, and wearing old sweatpants. It made me wonder, why does it feel like some people can completely transform their lives, whether it's fitness, business, or learning English, while others stay stuck in the same place for years? Is it just luck, Finn? Or is there a secret bridge between being stuck and being successful?
That is a fantastic question, Mia. I think everyone listening right now has felt stuck at some point. You try, you work hard, but nothing seems to change. Today, we're going to dive into the 1% secret and talk about why your mindset and your environment are actually the keys to unlocking a whole new version of yourself.
I love that. It reminds me so much of when I first started learning English. At first, it felt like I was standing at the bottom of a giant mountain. So many words, so many confusing grammar rules. I just wanted to give up.
I know that feeling, Mia. When I started learning my second language, I kept thinking, if I just knew 5,000 words, I'd be fluent. But it didn't work like that. It wasn't just about the words, it was about the daily habits.
Right, it's about the little things. But before we get into the how, we need to look at the why. Why do we stay stuck? I think the biggest wall is the fear of failure.
Oh, absolutely. People ask themselves, what if I try to speak English and I sound silly? Or what if I try a new job and I'm not good at it? We are so afraid of looking bad that we don't even start. But Mia, think about it. If you were learning the guitar, would you expect to play like a rock star on day one?
Of course not. You'd have sore fingers and you'd sound terrible for months.
Exactly. But for some reason, with English or with our careers, we feel like we have to be perfect immediately. The successful people we see, they've failed hundreds of times. They just kept going when it got awkward.
That's so true, Finn. And another reason people stay stuck is a lack of direction. I see so many students who say, Mia, I want to be better at English, but they don't have a specific plan. They're like a ship in the middle of the ocean with no map. They're moving, but they aren't going anywhere.
I love that analogy. You're spinning your wheels but staying in the same spot. People think they need a perfect plan, so they spend all their time researching how to be successful instead of actually doing the work. It's like procrastination in disguise.
It really is. And then comes the negative self-talk. I hear it all the time. I'm just not a language person, or I'm too old to change. Those thoughts stop progress before the person even picks up a book.
It's a trap. And here's a little secret for our listeners. The biggest trap is waiting for motivation.
Oh, tell me more about that. I think a lot of people feel they need to feel like it before they practice.
Right. People say, I'll study when I feel motivated. But Mia, motivation is a liar. It usually comes after you take action, not before. It's like cleaning your house. You don't want to start, but once you pick up 5 things, you suddenly feel like finishing the whole room.
That is so relatable. It's like the cold start of a car engine. You have to turn the key first. Once the car is moving, it's easy to keep going.
Exactly. I remember when I struggled with a personal challenge last year. I waited for the perfect moment to start exercising. It never came. I finally just forced myself to walk for 5 minutes, and once I did, everything started falling into place.
And that is the perfect lead-in to the 1% rule. Finn, can you explain the math behind that? Because it's actually mind-blowing.
It really is. If you improve just 1% every day, you don't just get a little bit better. Because of compound interest, like a bank account, you end up 37 times better by the end of a year.
37 times. Imagine your English or your professional skills being 37 times better than they are today. That is the power of small efforts. It's not about a 5-hour study session on Sunday. It's about 10 minutes of reading every single day.
Right, and those small habits redefine your identity. If you practice for 5 minutes every day, you start thinking of yourself as an English speaker. It's no longer something you do, it's who you are. We call this a transformation, Mia, a complete change in how you see yourself.
I love that word, transformation. But Finn, we have to talk about the most important part, the mindset, how we choose to think about our progress.
Yes, there's the fixed mindset where you think you can't change, and the growth mindset where you believe you can learn anything. And did you know, Mia, our brain actually has a physical filter for this. It's called the RAS, the reticular activating system.
Yes, it's like when you decide you want to buy a specific red car and suddenly you see that red car everywhere on the street.
Precisely. The cars didn't suddenly appear, your brain just started noticing them because you told it they were important. So if you keep telling yourself English is impossible, your brain will filter out all your progress and only show you your mistakes.
That is so powerful. But if you say, I am improving every day, your brain will start highlighting new words in movies, in songs, and on street signs. Your brain starts working for you instead of against you.
This is why reprogramming your mind is so important. We can do this through affirmations, positive self-talk like, I am getting better every day, and also visualization. Mia, do you ever visualize your goals?
All the time. I close my eyes and see myself successfully handling a difficult English conversation. It tricks the brain into believing it's already possible. And don't forget gratitude. When you're thankful for the one new word you learned today, you train your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles.
Confidence comes after progress. I think that should be our motto for the day. And speaking of progress, Mia, another thing that holds people back is waiting for the right moment to start.
Ready is a ghost, Finn. You will never feel 100% ready. When you were learning to speak English in front of people, did you feel ready?
Never. I was terrified. My heart was racing, my hands were sweating, but I realized that making mistakes was just part of the price. Each bad conversation built my confidence for the next good one.
That's the key. Done is better than perfect. Too many people wait until they are perfect before they speak, but in reality, imperfect action is always better than doing nothing at all.
Exactly. If you wait for perfection, you'll never get started. Whether it's English, a new habit, or a big life change, just begin. The small steps will turn into a giant leap over time.
Speaking of big leaps, Finn, we can't ignore our environment. Our surroundings, the people and things around us, shape who we are.
Oh, absolutely. They say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends always complain that life is hard, you'll believe them. But if you're around positive, growth-driven people, their energy rubs off on you.
That's why joining a community is so helpful. Whether it's an online group for English learners or a local book club, being part of a group that values growth makes you want to improve too.
And it works both ways. You have to reduce the negativity. Maybe that means spending less time on social media accounts that make you feel bad, or cutting back on negative news that drains your energy.
I totally agree. I felt stuck in my language journey until I found a community of learners. Suddenly, I had people to practice with, people who understood my struggles. It made all the difference.
It's about building momentum, Mia, that force that keeps you moving forward once you finally start. And the more exposure you have to English, the more you hear it and see it, the faster that momentum builds.
Exactly. And before we move to the end, I wanted to quickly recap some of those power words we used today, just to make sure our listeners can use them too.
Good idea, Mia. I'll start. We talked about transformation, which is a total change, and mindset, which is how you think.
Right. And I loved the word accountable. It means being responsible for your own progress. If you tell a friend your goal, they hold you accountable.
And exposure. That's the amount of contact you have with the language. Watching movies or listening to this podcast gives you great exposure.
And lastly, momentum. That's the engine that keeps you going. Once you start with that 1% change, momentum does the rest of the work for you.
Man, Mia, we covered a lot today. I hope our listeners are feeling as energized as I am.
Me too, Finn. It really comes down to the fact that we have so much more control than we think.
You're absolutely right. To wrap it all up, listeners, remember, the bridge to success isn't built in a day. It's built 1% at a time.
Exactly. You don't need a miracle to change your life or your English. You just need small steps, a growth mindset, and a supportive environment.
And remember, if you wait for the perfect moment, you're waiting for something that doesn't exist. Confidence doesn't happen before you start. It happens because you started.
Well said, Finn. So we have a challenge for you today. Think of one thing you've been putting off. Maybe it's recording yourself speaking English or finally starting that workout routine.
And then just take one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because action leads to momentum, and momentum leads to confidence.
We want to hear from you. What is one small 1% change you are going to make today? Let us know in the comments. We love reading your stories and seeing how you're growing.
Also, don't forget to grab our free PDF guide for today's episode. It's packed with practical exercises and all the vocabulary we discussed to help you stay accountable.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us, please subscribe, share this with a friend who needs a boost, and leave us a review. It really helps us keep the studio running.
Thanks for listening to the English Conversation Studio. Keep practicing, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.